knee-jerk reaction is something that we do or say as soon as something has been said to us that is displeasing to us, that we have sensed is unfair. It has caused our emotions to flare up. We're upset, we're sad, we're shocked, we're angry. Any one of those emotions, and immediately we come up with what's called a knee-jerk reaction. It's called a knee-jerk reaction because when somebody hits you, very often you want to sort of knee-jerk them straight back again by raising your knee. It comes from that terminology, the knee-jerk. Sometimes we find ourselves in a spot of bother, and very often it's because we've reacted with a knee-jerk reaction. When we fire something straight back at somebody that has annoyed us, when we text somebody straight back who has texted us about something or said something that we're not happy about, it's caused us to have our feathers ruffled a little bit, we're angry, and so we fire something back at them. That's a knee-jerk reaction. And you must understand that when you're living in the knee-jerk, emotion is driving. Logic has long left the building. You're not thinking logically, you're not thinking clearly, you're not thinking sensibly. You are overwhelmed by the need to prove yourself to be right. You are overwhelmed by that sense of self-righteousness and indignation. This is not okay. Understanding that all anger is rooted in a sense that we have been treated unfairly about something, or something is unfair in society. We become angry, and rather than sitting back and saying, I need to have a measured response to this, instead we find ourselves reacting with a knee-jerk reaction, and now emotion is in the driving seat, and we all know that that is courting disaster. As soon as emotion has got any say in anything, we are now no longer thinking clearly. Thoughts are not clear, there is no logic in what we're about to do. We're angry, and when we're angry, and I've said this in previous videos, you can go look at that again where I've spoken about anger, we are no longer making good choices. We're making incredibly poor choices. As I've said, there are people sitting in jail today who lived in the knee-jerk. A knee-jerk reaction to something, they overreacted. And you must remember, when you are emotional, you will overreact. You will hit somebody harder than you meant to. You'll throw something harder than you meant to. You'll say something in a more harsh way than what you intended, because you're living in the knee-jerk and you're not living in a position of sensibility where you've taken a step back and saying, I need a measured response to this so that I can actually come out of this actually still intact, and not having to face the consequences of my actions. When we are living in the knee-jerk, we're setting ourselves up for an apology. You're going to be saying sorry to somebody at some point, so back away. You might get called names for backing away. You might you might feel that, oh, you've lost a little bit of street creds, you've lost a little bit of pride or something like that. Listen, I would rather lose that than lose my life, than lose my reputation, than lose a friend. Don't live in the knee-jerk. There are friendships that have been destroyed because somebody said something and they didn't quite mean it, but you came back in the knee-jerk and you absolutely destroyed what was left of what could have been rescued. We're not showing our best self. When we're acting in the knee-jerk, we're not showing who we really are. We're showing something that we are not. We're showing the emotional side of us, which is not a bad side, but it can be when your emotions are not in check, when we're not considering our emotional response to something. The fight or flight response takes many prisoners, including you. The fight or flight response is something that's built into humanity. That it's like when you wake up in the night and you hear a noise in the house. The fight or flight response will be what the thing that you do next. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go check it out. You very seldom say, oh, well, that should be okay. I can hear something rattling around downstairs. That'll be fine. If you know it's not a noise that is normal to your household, the fight or flight response will cause you to get up and you will actually do something about it. You will either fight or you'll run. That's the fight or flight. But the knee-jerk reaction is when you're living in the fight or flight, because it actually takes prisoners. In other words, you will become captive to the choices that you make in a knee-jerk reaction, whereas you could have taken a step back and thought to yourself, hold on, let me consider this response right now. I've got a simple rule. If I get an email or a text or something that I'm not 100% happy with, it's ruffled me a little bit, I will wait 24 hours before I respond. And 24 hours later, that's quite a bit of time that has now passed between when I received it and when I responded to it, so my emotions have subsided somewhat. And I'm now seeing it slightly differently. And very often I'll see it a lot more clearly than what I originally did, because now I'm not living in the knee-jerk. Now I'm living in logic. And I'm mulling it through and I'm saying there's actually a different way to do this. Please save yourself a lot of blushes. Spare yourself a whole string of apologies that you're going to have to make. And don't live in the knee-jerk. Consider your responses. Be wise. And I promise you life will be a whole lot easier. Okay, thank you so much. Please hit the subscribe button and I'll be back with you again soon. God bless and goodbye.